today we're actually going to be making a 3D model. I'll be showing you how to make this little project box here. It's got a lid, it's got a base, you can put stuff in it and make stuff with it. Alright, stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Kevin with Inventimart, and today I'm going to be making this little project box. I already recorded this video once, but I forgot to turn on the microphone. That was fun. Now I got to do it again. But anyway, I'll show you the process and how I made this. I moved this to the second layer, so I'm going to start from scratch again. So normally you start off with the cube. Where'd it go? Oh, it's way over there. Let's get that back where it's supposed to be. Cursor to center. Selected the cursor. So first thing I do is I usually try to make the components of whatever module I'm trying to make or little device I'm trying to make the specific individual components just as little cubes or cylinders or whatever shape they are. So the first one that I want to do is the lithium-ion charger. And so this is going to be, it's about 20 millimeters by 20 millimeters by probably about 7, I'd say, with the electronics and chips and everything, just to be on the safe side. So we got that, and duplicate that, and I want to size it on the Y. I can either press S, use the middle mouse button to get the green line to show up and move it that way, or I can just drag this up, and that looks about the right size. And so now I'm just going to make a little dummy batteries here. So the 18650 is 18 inches diameter and 65 millimeters long. So we got that. We need to rotate it 90 degrees. And so these little objects are going to be there. I plan on having 4 of them. They don't have to be exactly spaced or perfect or anything like that. Just somewhere in the general area. And next thing we do is add another cube. This is actually going to be the inside of the box dimensions. I'm going to give myself a little bit of room to play around with. Got those, and it's way too tall. I'm going to size it down a little bit here. A little bit of room. That should be good there. And, excuse me real quick. Don't know if I'm getting my daughter's cold or if I just have a dry throat. Hope I don't get her cold. I hardly ever get sick, but she's been getting sick lately. I don't know. So anyway, so what I like to do is just even these out. See, it's almost 70 millimeters. That one's almost 100. It just makes for easier calculations of things. So first thing to do is duplicate that, and then I want to have like a probably about 3 millimeter border. It's a little kind of a thick, but I want this to be a little stronger than normal. Hopefully watertight too, but I'll have to silicone it or something or paint it to get it to be waterproof because it's going to be outside. So with that duplicated box along the X here, we want that to be 3 millimeters on each side. So we had 3 plus 3 is 6, so it's going to be 106. And same with the Y, we want that to be 76. And same with the Z, we want that to be 29. So then we have 3 millimeters all the way around. And so what we do now is just keep this box selected, go up to the little wrench here, and add modifier, Boolean, difference, and then we select the cube 002. It's always good to know what object you're going to be using as the counterpart to whatever Boolean you're doing. If you don't know, just right click on it and go back to the object you were working on. So that looks good. Let's go ahead and hit apply. Excuse me again. Okay, so we got that. And so now that box is still there that we took out of there, so we can right click that and delete that. And we don't need any of these other objects either. We can delete all these now that we have the rough idea of what's going to be the dimensions. So basically we just have a hollow rectangle now of the exact size we want. And so what I need to make now is some screw holes so that the screws have something to grip into on both the lid and the base. And I'm actually going to be making both of them out of this one box here. What was it, 23 was the height before on the inside? Yeah, that's about right. And then just want to get this lined up pretty close. Doesn't have to be exact. So we got that lined up about where we need it on the height, and then we want it in the corners. That's probably good there. So now that we have that duplicated, first thing we need to do, we need to center this square or rectangle that we made. So cursor, Shift S, cursor to center, Shift S, selection to cursor. It's not that this is center, so we can move this around more precisely. Let's get that over here. When you're in direct on modes, usually it doesn't change the height of it, but I don't know why it changed it that time, but it's always good to double check. So we want to get this one positioned pretty much right where we want it. Okay, that looks good. Looks good from all angles. So what we can do now is Shift D, duplicate it, and then right click, snaps it back to where it was. Go up to the location up here and just hit negative, and it copies one, or moves that one all the way over here, exact opposite across the Y. So this is the positive, this is the negative. So we need to do that on the X now. So duplicate and go to the Y and hit delete the minus, and then it goes exact opposite there. And then do it again. And when you click on the selection up here, highlights it, make sure you use the cursor arrow to deselect the highlight so you can move it around to wherever you need to. Delete that, and it adds it there. So now we can shift and right click all these circle or cylinders here, and then hit Control J. That joins them together. So now that they're all solid, and so there's that. Now what we need to do is join it to this box. So right click the box, add modifier, boolean, union, cylinder, so it adds it to it, apply, and so it added it to it. So now we can actually delete the cylinders that we were working with because we don't need them anymore. So hit X and delete. So now we have basically a box with posts for the screw terminals, or the screws to hold everything together. Now we actually need to separate it into a box. So to do that, just create another cube. This doesn't have to be precise at all. I just like to try to center it up as much as possible. So we just need to make this bigger than the box itself. And you kind of want to get this, zoom in and move it. Okay, so got that positioned right. So now what we want to do is right click on the box that we're making and duplicate it. So now that you actually have two of them, They're cube 004 and cube 001. And not to get off subject too much, but if you click on the little cube here, you can change the name. If you can name the objects whatever you want, so that way you can keep track of them better. So with the if you right click on it, it switches between the two. So first we're going to make the lid. So what we want to do is go to the wrench, add modifier, boolean. We actually want to keep it on intersect, and the name of this one is just cube, so cube, and that didn't work correctly. Blender sometimes does this where it does the opposite of what you want it to do. It's actually not selecting the difference, it's actually selecting the intersection here, but it gets these messed up. I don't know if it's some kind of bug, but it doesn't do it all the time. It does it randomly. It's really, really weird. But anyway, so that's what we wanted. That's actually intersect and apply. And it may do the same thing to this one. So we wanted the main one. We actually wanted to do what it did originally. Nope, still doing the same thing. So hit intersect and apply. Delete that. So now it looks like you just have a box, but we now have a box with a lid. So all we need to do now is make the holes for the lid, and I need to make a hole in the side for the wires. So let's make a cylinder, and I usually use the 3mm size bolts with the hex nut on them. They just seem to be work the best for me. That's what I use to make most of my 3D printer. I usually make them about 3.25 just because the filament's a little bit overhang, so it's not exact. I have my printer tuned in for the outside dimensions of objects, not the inside dimensions. And so we just want to, so I made that 23 high. That's the entire length of the inside of the box. And this doesn't have to be exact, it just has to be relatively centered. And so we just do the exact same thing we did with the other cylinders to make them. Is Shift D, duplicate, delete. It really doesn't matter which when you go up to here when you're on it, it'll just be either or. And so that one's going to be negative. So we have all 4 of those now. Shift to select them all. Control J to join them. So now that they're all one object. So we need to do this next step twice. So we select the main cube and add modifier, boolean, difference, and cylinder. That's the only one that's left. So we want to do that and apply it. And I actually should have made these longer because we need to go through the lid as well. So what we can do is just select them, press G, Z to make it go on the Z axis, just move them up above it, above the lid. So let's select the lid, add modifier, boolean, difference, and cylinder, apply. So now we should have holes in there. So it's ready to be mounted there. And so need to add a cylinder to make a hole for the wires. 8mm. I got a little bit thick wires that I'm using here. That's centered up, just go like that. That'd probably be good. Go there, add boolean, difference, cylinder, Makes a little hole in it. So now we got a hole there. And another thing we can do just to make the box fit inside the, or that makes the lid fit inside the box pretty well, would be to just add another cube here. Just make it, what was that, 70? And put that there. Put that line up there. Duplicate that. Size it there. And so it just doesn't go all the way to the edge. It's actually kind of nice to have a little bit of wiggle room there. Same with the other one. Let's go ahead and make that a little bit smaller. That way it's not so tight when you're trying to fit it. So with the lid, I'm going to select the lid, if it'll let me. And then add modifier, boolean, union. Oh. You just got to kind of pay attention to what you're doing with that. Cube 001. Add it there, apply. I can delete that. Add modifier, boolean, union. That's just cube, so cube, apply. Delete that cube now. So now I have a little lid that snaps in and just holds everything a little tight. And that's pretty much all I was going to have for this episode. And another thing I forgot to show this recording around was the, instead of making exact measurements, I'll just show you here. So I got a cube. Let's make this 10 by 10 by 10. And we're wanting to make the same box thing. You can just size it. What I like to do sometimes is just, if I'm making something really quick and I don't need exact measurements or anything, I just add a little cube and say I wanted this to be 2 millimeters. I just kind of put that kind of close to the line there and then just size this one up to match there. That way we know we have a 2 millimeter wall thickness. And that's just another quick example of that at work. It's just little tiny cubes for measurement. They're not really necessary, but they work. And so there you have it. There's the second edition. Sometimes making a model more than once, you refine it and make it better. Because there's the first one that I did. I didn't put the top thing in, and I made these short, which making them long would make it print way easier. And that's another thing you gotta kind of pay attention to when you're making things for 3D printing, is how is it going to print best. So this one we probably want to rotate it 180 degrees so that the lid will print from the bottom up, so that way that'll print the best. So we right click that and then File, Export, STL. You want to make sure that this is selected. I did this earlier, so it's already selected. And so this is 02. That's the top. Save that. File, Export, STL. That's the bottom, and that's pretty much all we need to do. And that's it for today. And if you have any ideas for anything that you want me to 3D model for you, or pretty much any suggestions of anything really, I'm open to do all kinds of things. Teach anybody what I know about Blender, because I know it's hard to learn it. I learned it myself from scratch just by watching YouTube videos, and there's a couple of YouTubers that are really awesome at what they do that help me a lot. They're into a lot more advanced stuff now, but like Blender Guru is one of them, and CG Geek is another one. There's just all sorts of different resources that you can look into, and I'm open to learning from any source I can to make my skills better, because that's how you get better at doing anything, is just keep trying. But that's all I have for today, and thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I'll have more come. Thanks.